Hey there, listeners. Welcome back to Not Your Average Breakdown podcast, the place where my friend Alex and I dive into current events and interesting topics. I'm Claudia, and I absolutely hate keeping up with the news. Lucky for me, I've got Alex, my partner in crime, to break down all the nitty-gritty details so I and you don't have to. Welcome back, Alex.
Hi, Claudia. That was a good intro.
Still at it. Still doing well in this new year.
I see.
I know. So I have a little bit of a cold, so you're going to have to deal with that today.
Okay. What's going on?
It's totally fine. Ignore me. Just deal with my voice today.
Okay. I'm going to quote my first sergeant and say, weak immune system.
Oh, wow. What do you think this is? A man cold?
Sorry.
No, I'm a woman. I got this. I went to work. I have kids to take care of. Just bring it. All right. So I'm excited to get into this topic this week. It's a story that Alex brought to me about a woman named Kaitlin Armstrong. If you're like me and don't know anything about her, it's a story that drew international headlines. Per usual, I was in my bubble and I missed these headlines because after being suspected of murdering professional up and coming gravel cyclist Anna Moriah Wilson in Texas, Armstrong vanished, seemingly into thin air. So, did I get that right, Alex? High
Yes.
level? Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
that's pretty good.
All right, so that's all I wanted to kind of prep for this and do the intro, but other than that, I know nothing. So this is going to be kind of like a true crime episode here.
I know. I'm kind of excited, but I'm also kind of scared because we're not a true crime podcast.
No, we're not.
But I thought that this case was just sort of interesting. And I in a kind of fucked up way, we're breaking away from like some serious topics. I mean, not that this one is not serious, obviously it involves a murder, but the murder is solved and the perpetrator is in jail. And last couple of episodes, I feel like we focused on some very serious issues that we're facing in our country. So I just wanted to sort of have a little fun with this topic because I thought it was quite funny. And I listened to a couple of different podcasts about it because I was just so fascinated when I heard this case. I listened to these two guys. I don't even remember the name of their podcast, but I just typed in their Kaitlin Armstrong's name in Spotify search, and this true crime podcast came up. Right, and it was these two guys. They were the worst podcasters I have ever heard. I made it only their podcast was hour and 20 minutes. I made only 20 minutes. I literally could not listen to it. They were very like monotone. There was like zero emotion in the voice. They had like a couple of inside jokes that were kind of funny, but they were both of them spoke almost like they were sedated, like very slow
What?
and like emotionless. And I was like, all right, I don't
You're
want
like,
to judge other podcasters
yeah, you're
because
like,
we're podcasting and people judge us all the time. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're all over the place.
I know. No, we're like, we're better than that. We're better than that.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you a quick fact though, because the other day I was listening on the radio too. No, I wasn't. I was listening to a podcast. Do you know who Lewis Howes is?
No.
What?
Hey, listen, don't you start with how you don't know. We have a whole podcast of things that you don't know.
I know. But like he's like on Jay Shetty level. So I figured you would know him. Well, I was listening to Lewis Howes, and he was talking to someone. He was just having conversation with someone, and the guy was saying the statistics on the people that started podcasts, only like 50% make it to 10 episodes, and then it drastically, like, even to make it to 20 episodes, like the rest of like another half just give up. So I just thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, we're heading towards 20. So you listen to a few podcasts on this.
Yes, I listened to a few podcasts, and I gotta give shout out to Annalise. She's one of my favorite true crime podcasters. She has a YouTube series that I sometimes listen to when I'm working and I need like some noise. It's called 10 to Life. And then she has a podcast, and it like she's really good. I love her. But she did a really good breakdown of this case. And the reason why I brought it up is because I saw it trending in the news, and I was like, oh, I think I remember something from last year. Well, 2 years ago, I guess now, when this case happened, because I remember seeing something on social media, but I didn't really follow the case or anything. But then a few days ago, or maybe last week, whenever we talked about it, she was trending again, Kaitlin Armstrong, because she got sentenced.
Oh, okay.
And during the trial, a lot of new facts were brought up that I didn't know. And so I sort of thought that it might be an interesting topic for us to cover.
I'm into it. I like when we switch it up, and I don't typically like crime podcasts unless they're funny, like the one we Psychopedia, freaking
I
love
love
them. The
Cyberpedia.
the only way I'll listen to a crime podcast is if those 2 are talking about it because they're hysterical, but they're really respectful of what happened. So it's the perfect harmonization of that.
Yeah, I agree. I For the same reason I think you like their podcast is because there is something about dark humor.
Yes.
It's like helps you cope with some of the facts. And I mean, they do some like gruesome cases, but I feel like sometimes the humor breaks down, the tension and everything. So I don't know if I am in that state. Like I said, like we're not true crime
No.
podcasters, so I don't think we're at that level.
No, we're not anywhere near there, but you know what? We're gonna tell a hell of a story today, and maybe there's a lot of people like me that haven't heard it. So, and I know it's gonna be interesting because you told me some things about her disappearing and how they actually end up catching her. So,
Yes.
I think it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, I'm going to start it off by saying, well, you mentioned in your intro that it was death of Anna Moriah Wilson, who was a professional gravel cyclist.
What is a gravel cyclist?
It is some crazy ass sport that is like super niche, from my understanding. It's you ride your bike on gravel roads. That's essentially the gist of it. But it's like kind of it's a badass sport. Okay, like you need to be riding a bike long distance is very physically strenuous, but riding it on a gravel is like crazy. So it's like
Okay.
almost off-roading with the bike.
Okay.
That's a very simple terms. Please don't come for me if I.
All the gravel cyclists that are listening to us.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna be in our inbox.
Enraging them all.
Yeah,
Hey, you know what? If it gets us some emails, I'm okay with
I
it.
know. So Anna Moriah Wilson, she was actually born in New Hampshire, and she was born in 1996, so she was much younger than me, which was sort of like
Shit.
a crazy fact to me.
Yeah.
Um, and younger than our friend Allie and Jess. So, and they're like the youngest people I fucking know.
Yeah, let's not talk about it because I'm not even in the same stratosphere. But okay, continue.
Sorry. So she was born in New Hampshire, and she went to Burke Mountain Academy in 2014 and then went to Dartmouth College, where she got bachelor's in engineering. So she was a pretty smart and ambitious girl. She grew up surrounded by sports, and some of her family members were into gravel cycling, and that's how she got into it. And then like her career just took off in that sport, and she became a professional. Because this sport is kind of niche in itself, their community is very small. And so she ended up meeting Colin Strickland, who at the time he was dating Kaitlin Armstrong. Two of them had a very rocky relationship, Kaitlin and Colin. Kaitlin Armstrong, she was born in 1987, and she grew up in Michigan. She was a yoga teacher and a licensed realtor. She had a business, I think, with Colin, and I think that sort of is what kept them coming back together, because they had an on and off relationship for a few years, but they were living together, they had a business together, and I feel like it's sort of hard to break out of those patterns.
What kind of time frame was this that they were together or this was happening?
So we're talking like 2020, 2021.
Wow, okay.
The murder happened in 2022 in
Oh,
May.
fresh. Wow, okay.
Fresh. Yeah, exactly. Like this was still COVID. I was certainly detached from it. It's not something that I'm very into.
Mhm.
So I wasn't really following the case like that. But as I said, Caitlin and Colin, they were in this relationship where they were on and off. And a lot of times people described it as Caitlin being jealous and Colin sort of playing both fields, if you will. In the time period when Caitlin and Colin broke up, Colin started dating Anna Moriah briefly for like a couple of weeks. After a while, they sort of broke up. When I was listening to the podcast from Annalise, she said that Mo didn't, that was a nickname for Anna Moriah. She didn't really know what was happening with Colin. He was, as I said, playing both fields, a little bit with Caitlin, a little bit with her, and there were like some text messages that were released that she was questioning him, like, are you still with her? Do you want to be just friends with me? Like, what was the deal? Caitlin probably felt the same way because she found some messages from Mo on Colin's phone, but the two of them got back together, Caitlin and Colin. And so it was this like love triangle that was happening. Okay. There was a tournament in Austin, Texas for gravel cycling. And that is where Colin and Caitlin were living. Mo and Colin got together for dinner that night. So it's May 11, 2022, and he took her out for dinner, but he didn't tell Caitlin where he was going.
Oh shit.
So he lied to her. What we know is that I think he dropped her off at her friend's house. That's where she was staying
Yeah,
in
close.
Texas. So he dropped her off there, and there was a camera that recording Mo getting into the house or into the building or whatever. And
Mhm.
it's I don't remember exactly the time, but let's say I think it was like 8:30 in the evening. Her friend who she was staying with called police around 10:30. So within those 2 hours or less than 2 hours, there was a murder that happened. Her friend found Mo bleeding, unresponsive on her floor.
Okay, I was about to say that she must be inside the house because they have footage of that. So where the hell did this take place? Okay.
Yes. So far, like, this is what we know, right? Like, her friend calls the cops, says, I think my friend is dead, and that's it, right? Like, we don't
The
know.
the friend was home the whole time and didn't hear her friend getting
No,
killed?
she wasn't home. So when she came
Oh,
back,
okay, okay.
yeah, so she came back, saw her, and I saw somebody was like, "Oh, why did she take 6 minutes to call the cops?" But I'm like,
It's fucking 6 minutes.
she, yeah, 6 minutes is nothing if
I know,
you are panicking, like you have a dead person on your floor, like
right.
you're probably trying to do something.
You could be frozen, you could be trying to help her, trying to figure out what happened, like, the 6
Exactly.
minutes is
You might
not a
be
lot.
performing CPR. Like you don't know what happened in those 6 minutes. 6 minutes is really not that long time when it's like this craziness happening. So, but anyways, she called the cops. Cops came and she was declared dead. And then the cops started reviewing footage, and they
Do you know how
noticed
she died? Was it a stabbing? Was it a gunshot wound? What
it
was
was a
it?
gunshot wound. So there was
Okay.
like two shots to the head
Ugh.
and one to the chest.
Oh.
They're reviewing the footage. The cops are reviewing the footage, and they see a car that pulled around the building
Mhm.
around the time that the murder happened. They ended up tracing the license plate to Kaitlin Armstrong. They bring her in for questioning like the next day. They're showing her footage and they're telling her that a girl that Colin was romantically involved with has died, like somebody murdered her. And this girl rolls her eyes, like
Oh.
almost like, oh, you said like he was romantically involved with her, like, oh, whatever.
Okay, weird, but
Yeah,
continue.
right. So they are telling her this whole thing and they're trying to figure out how they can keep her, right? Because they just brought her in for questioning, but they don't have enough evidence. The car that was there, like it could have been pure coincidence. Like they need something tangible, right? And so as they were doing a background check on her, they noticed that like a few years ago, she walked out of a beauty parlor where she got her Botox done. She got her Botox and she started to pay with the card, and she was like, oh no, this is not the card that I want to use. I'm just gonna run to the car and grab a different card. And she skipped and like never paid this bill. And so they used that to take her into the custody for outstanding misdemeanor warrant for theft.
Man, I've heard of dine and dash, but what do you call that?
I know, Botox and dash.
Yeah, I don't. We're gonna have to come up with something for
I
that.
know. That is really how they brought her in for questioning. And then they started telling her about this murder, and she like didn't make any statements or anything. And then unfortunately, she was released on technicality because there was a discrepancy between her date of birth. Somebody wrote down a wrong date of birth. And so the police department legally had to let her go because the warrant was not valid anymore.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Right? This chick leaves the police department. The next day, she sells her car to this like dealership for like peanuts.
Suspicious as fuck. Okay.
Grabs like all this cash that she can
Yep.
and skips town. She ends up in New York City and gets a fake ID, which I have no clue how do you get a fake ID in New York City, because she used her sister's information, got a passport on her sister's name, and flew to Costa Rica.
Wow. Okay.
So she is gone. This is literally like all happening the moment she left the police station. Like she disappeared. There
Oh,
was,
she gone. I mean,
yeah,
she's got a fake passport. She's in a different country. Holy shit.
yeah. That for me, that's like guilty as fuck.
Yes, 100%.
So she flies to Costa Rica using her sister's passport. She assumes this different personality and she starts changing her appearance through plastic surgery. Finally, the US Marshals locate her. They sort of pinpointed that she was in Costa Rica, and they were like, all right, there might be a way that we can get her, because she, remember in the beginning I said she was a yoga instructor.
Yes.
The US Marshals were like, how about we post this Facebook ad for a yoga instructor in Costa Rica? And then we just wait and see if she shows up, because that's what she was doing. She was like bouncing from one yoga studio to another. They waited for days and like nothing happened. They were about to leave. They bought plane tickets and everything. And finally, this chick answers on the ad, on Facebook ad for the yoga instructor. And she gets apprehended in a hostel in Santa Teresa in Costa Rica on June 29, 2022. So the murder happened May 11th, and she got arrested in June 29.
Oh.
This, however, is not the craziest part of the story.
Well, that wasn't long after that happened that she got apprehended.
I know. And it makes you think like have you ever tried to get a passport fast?
Oh, that's such a great point. What the hell?
Like it takes you 6 weeks to get a passport. How did this chick get a passport like within days,
Oh,
literally?
she's
Like
got to
that's
know a guy. She's got to know a guy
exactly. Like
because
she was, I know, she was on the run for like month and a half if you really think about it. It wasn't much. Yeah, so it almost made me think, did she like plan this before, applied for all, like she knew that she's gonna skip down, fly to Costa Rica, like was this plan all along? That's
right.
what sort of made me wonder.
But it's okay, so it's she assumed her sister's identity though? Okay.
Mhm.
And then she got a passport on her sister. So that's legit stuff. It's not like it's a
Yeah,
completely fictitious passport that she's using.
I think it's I don't know if she looked alike her sister,
Yeah.
where she could get by, but from like my understanding is that she like got new passport, but I don't know if that means like that she used her sister's passport or whatever. But anyway, like that's crazy to think about. Like this chick was moving mad fast.
Yeah. Maybe she paid the expedite fee. Like, there's an
Yeah, I know.
expedite fee, and
Well,
she
when you're
paid
on the
it.
run for murder.
Right. I mean, I'm sure she sold a few things before she did that, so she
Yeah,
had the cash.
exactly. And so she gets arrested and they bring her back to the US.
I wanna know,
On
so before you go on, do you know what she did plastic surgery-wise to change her looks?
Yeah, she did like from what I could find, because that was my question as well. I'm like, okay, what kind of plastic
Yeah,
surgery
what'd
are we
she do?
talking about, right?
Right.
Well, so she dyed her hair. She used to be
Okay.
blonde. She dyed it brunette, and then she had a like several nose jobs. But I'm like, I don't know if a nose job really changes your identity like that.
No, and that's not a lot of time to even recover from a nose job.
Yeah, I don't. To me, she almost looked the same because I googled some of her pictures before to see, and I just saw that she sort of looked the same. Yeah, it's like this whole case is super bizarre.
Well, clearly she doesn't have all her marbles, so
Oh yeah,
it
100%. I mean, you just killed a girl because you were jealous.
it's sad, it's sad. So they bring her back.
So they bring her back to the States and they put her in jail, charge her for murder. She was held at the $3.5 million bond in Travis County Jail. After many delays of this case going to trial, she finally went on trial October 30th, 2023. She was trying to appeal and get her the get a bid to suppress evidence of her custodial interrogation with the Austin Police Department, where she was initially interviewed. You remember I said she was rolling her
Yep.
eyes and stuff because she said that she was not read her Miranda rights. Initially, she lost that bid. And so she was charged, but here's the piece of nugget. Right before she went on trial, on October 12th, 2023, she escaped from officers who had escorted her to a medical appointment outside of the jail,
Oh my god.
and she ran for like 2 miles. There was a whole chase for
They
her.
they couldn't catch a girl just running, like, just running
No,
for 2
and
miles?
I know. And so some people that she was cellmates with in jail, because she spent like a year in jail prepping for this trial, right? People were saying that she was like heavily exercising. So she was like ready to go on a
Oh, she was
run.
yeah, she was training.
Yeah, she was training. She was going to jump the fence.
Yeah.
And so that's what she did. Like, she literally sent them on a wild goose chase. Like, they were chasing for like 2 miles. She was like trying to jump a fence. Like, it was this whole shenanigan with her. Finally, she gets apprehended. And so now she was being charged with escaping and causing a bodily injury to one of the
Oh my
officers. Finally, November 16, 2023, Armstrong was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 90 years in prison with eligibility for parole after 30 years. She is trying to appeal this conviction.
She sounds mentally unstable.
Yeah, this chick literally killed some random ass girl because her man was texting with her.
That's so sad.
I don't want to say like in her defense because that's totally nuts,
Yeah.
but in some messed up way in her defense, Colin, her boyfriend, was lying to her. And so I feel like that just sort of escalated her craziness and insecurities or whatever mental illness that she has, because she didn't have a partner that was like supporting her. But also, how you didn't realize that this chick was gonna kill somebody.
Yeah. She's not mentally well. Just any of her actions, none of it just kind of shows how mentally unstable she is. Did she ever confess or no?
No, I don't think. I think she pleaded not guilty, but the evidence is just overwhelming. I mean, like, there was not even a second suspect.
No, that was all her. I mean, you've got footage, you've got her being weird, and she just fucking took off. So, like, it's you.
Yeah, and she was weird. Like, she was while she was in Costa Rica, there was like an interview that I watched. Some guy was being interviewed because he went on a couple of dates with her, and I think like he ended up being her fuck buddy, but he just like didn't say it that way, but that's what I sort of got. He's like, "Yeah, we hung out. oh, we hung out regularly or what. I'm
We
like, what?
banged. We banged. We Netflixed and chilled.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what is he saying right now? I'm like, is he saying that he's her fuck buddy? But he was like, mind you, she was in Costa Rica for 43 days.
She
And
was busy, girl. She had plastic surgery. She was doing yoga practice. She
I
was she had a she had a fuck buddy. Like that's a lot to do in
she
43
was
days.
she was like online dating. And that's how she ended up with this guy, and they went on a couple of dates, and she was telling him, I went through a major traumatic breakup or like a relationship, and I'm not ready to date. So they just sort of hung out and stuff. I'm like, this was a month ago.
AKA I killed my boyfriend situationship. AKA.
Yeah. And I might kill you if you fuck me over.
Man,
Yeah.
that was a good I can't believe that I didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah, I didn't really know her name. I know Mo Wilson's name and her face because she was the one that was like all over the news.
Probably the way it should be because put the attention on the person who deserved it, who lost their life, you know? What
Yeah.
about her man? Whatever happened to him? Nothing?
I mean, not really nothing. So he is a gravel cyclist as well, and after the murder, like all of the major brands dropped him.
Oh, he was good then.
Yeah, him and Mo were literally like the pioneers of this sport, and so he was pretty good. But like all these brands ended up dropping him because they just didn't want to be associated with the drama.
Yeah, well that's sad too because it's not like he knew any of that was going to happen. He was just it happened.
I know. I mean, I feel like he might have been a shitty person, but like not worth killing over. Nobody's
No.
worth that. You can't really blame him. Like that was his personality, whatever. That's what he was doing.
She was mad. She should have been mad with him and not Mo. You know, you're
Yeah,
taking out on a
exactly.
girl that's not taking these actions to, mislead two people. Who's the orchestrator here? It's him.
I know. I don't know why she like didn't confront him because I guess she's seen some messages on I guess she found out about Mo that night because he told her that he is going to like drop off flowers for somebody and then he turned off his phone,
Oh
but
man.
she had his Apple ID. And so I think she was tracking him on or no, I'm sorry. It was cyclist app or like a fitness app that tracks your location that a lot of cyclists use it. And she tracked both of them through that. And so she knew that he was with Mo,
Yeah.
but he turned off his phone, but he was still being tracked by GPS. That's how she ended up at Mo's apartment. If I found out like my man was just hanging out with another chick, I would have confronted him.
Yeah.
I don't care for this chick, this fucking rando over
Right.
here. It could have been anybody.
Go after the source, you
Yeah.
know? You know what? Now he's got to live with that though.
And you know what the most like fucked up thing of this whole thing is? Because he was living with Kaitlin, he bought two guns, one for himself and one for Kaitlin. And that is the gun that she ended up using to kill Mo.
Oh my god. So many places where this story went wrong. So many places. But I mean that unfortunately I mean if you're into true crime, you hear this kind of tale all the time. But that's why I don't listen to that shit. I feel like we have to put more pressure on getting our passports faster
I
for
know.
this story. I feel like there's hope. I mean. And law enforcement was able to draw her ass out. I love that.
I know. I love that. That's why I picked this case. I was like, that's when I texted him, like, do you know about Kaitlin Armstrong? And you're like, no. I'm like, dude, this is so awesome. Like, they literally
Mhm.
got her through a Facebook ad. Like, that is
Like, what?
insane.
Oh my god, I love it. But I enjoyed it, as fucked up as it is, I enjoyed it. And I think that it's a nice little break from the heavy stuff that we've been doing. And I feel like everybody else would enjoy it too.
I know. A nice little break. Let's just talk about a murder.
Yeah. We are so fucked up.
I
We
know,
are
but how fucked up are any of our other topics?
No, I know, I know. So this is a nice little change up. And we'll be back to getting all political and being banned from our social medias next week.
I know. One of these days, like we're pushing an envelope pretty hard because
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
just posted a video on Instagram, literally how Instagram does not do a good job policing their content.
Yep. That's us.
And we're gonna try to promote that video, so we will
Yeah,
see.
absolutely. I'm gonna go down trying with that video.
Yeah.
That's how we do.
Instagram is like we, just for the record, Instagram is not an NYAB fan because pretty much 90% of our content gets rejected
Yes.
for promotion.
Yes.
But
But
the TikTok, they're the real MVP.
the TikTok loves us.
The
Well, no,
Chinese will
they
take our
kind
money.
yeah, I don't know about if they love us because I do get rejected a lot on there too. But we're gonna keep trying. That's what we're here for. We're just gonna keep going, and every episode we're gonna try.
Yeah, but I think I told you this before we started recording. I think we got like a couple of listeners from today's TikTok video. Like I was pleasantly
Love it.
surprised today.
I love it. That's what's gonna keep me going. I don't care if it was one. I
I
don't care if
know.
we gained one. That's what's gonna keep me going.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, that was a great story. I'm glad that you told it. I feel better for knowing about it now. I feel a little more in the know. And if you want to share your thoughts on Caitlin's story, or you want to add like a little tidbit to it, you want to tell us more, you might know because all those fanatics that actually follow that kind of stuff, you want to just, contact us at our email, nyabpodcast@gmail.com, or find us on social media. Your engagement makes this journey all that much more enriching. So, Alex, tell them where they can find us.
We are on all major social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, X, Snapchat, YouTube, and all of major streaming platforms. So you can stream our podcasts anywhere where you get your podcasts.
You are killing it. Alex does all of our social media. I've got kids. I got a job. This girl, she just works it. She just tells me what's going on. And I just say, okay, just tell me where to show up.
Hey, listen, you pull your weight in all different ways.
I
So
try. I try by putting out.
that
You wish. Okay. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Next time, who knows where we're gonna be. But we'll be back at it next week. Thank you for dropping in and spending time with us. See you next week.
bye everyone.